Bob Anderson.
Sharon.
He was
All,
taught by Nisargadatta Maharaj.
all right. So we are going
Bob Anderson.
live on YouTube. And let's get our book there.
Bye, Robert.
All right. So we're with Lynn and Sharon, and there's a few other people here in the room. And we're reading The Untethered, let's see, Living Untethered by uh, Michael Singer. And it's been a couple of weeks since we actually read this. So, because I think, yeah, Sharon was gone last week. But here's where we are. Um, so, Living Untethered by Michael Singer. I forget who is the publisher of this, but uh, I think. Oh, and the other thing, I listened to Jan Fraser, When Fear Falls Away, the other day. Oh my gosh, that's such a good book, and she's such a lovely lady. Um, but she was talking about her experiences with Guru Mai and how Guru Mai had uh, done all the uh, helped her through experiencing all this Shakti and all this business. But when she actually awoke, when she's a lady who was uh, taught, I think, English or writing or something at some university, and she had uh, problems with her every time she went for a mammogram. They saw something off, and so they wanted to do biopsies. So she got to be terrified of these mammograms, which they were having her do like every 6 months or something. And she was in such terror of it, even though she was studying with Guru Mai and being with her on all these occasions, receiving all this incredible Shakti. Um, and she was, really terrified every time it came time for the mammogram. So she was, it was the night before the mammogram. She was in this deep, deep terror. And when she woke up, and she was just begging, please, please help me not to be so upset, so afraid. And when she woke up the next day, um, fear had gone. She had no more fear at all.
Mm.
No more fear at all of anything. And that
Mm.
state, I met her, spent some time with her, and was just overwhelmed by this being. And the shift that she had, I think she had been estranged with her kids, and had a really bad relationship with them. But just like Byron Katie, once she went through this shift, she became like a different person. And all these relationships were repaired. All this, it really is something. Anyway, it's a great book, When Fear Falls Away, Jan Fraser. Uh, and why I thought to say that, I don't know, but there it is. Uh, so I'm going to back up
All
a
right,
little.
I can read.
Okay, starting at a very important aspect.
Trying to bring it up.
Oh,
A
okay.
very important aspect of spiritual growth is understanding the dynamics of the opening and closing of the heart. In order to fully explore why the heart opens and closes, we must first bring our discussion to a deeper level. We said earlier that you experience three things inside yourself: the world coming in, the thought of your mind, and the emotions of your heart. Truth is, there's a fourth thing you experience in there. It is in there all the time, but most people are so lost in the first three, they don't focus on the fourth object of consciousness. Nevertheless, there is a very powerful energy flow inside of you. In different cultures, it has been called by different names, such as Shakti, Chi, or Spirit. For the purpose of our discussion, we would use the traditional yogic terms Shakti. Once you quiet down enough, you will realize this energy is constantly flowing in, wait a minute, I can't see that, inside of you.
Sharon, are you still there? I think you might have muted yourself.
I muted myself by accident.
Okay.
Once you quiet down enough, you will realize this energy is constantly flowing inside of you. You sometimes even make reference to it when your energy level suddenly changes. You say things like, when she told me she loved me, I got so filled with energy, I was floating on a cloud. I could feel it rushing through me. In other situations, you say, when she told me it was over, I hardly had the energy to drive home. It left me so drained I couldn't go to work for a week. These statements are referring to the surface level of the energy we're discussing. There is a much deeper core flow that you will experience as you transcend your personal self. It is this deeper energy flow passing through the open heart that you experience as the sensation of love. Because the energy can only go as high as you let it, this beautiful love experience does not happen that often for most people. Nonetheless, there's almost always some energy flowing through your heart, creating your normal emotional state. The reason the energy flowing through the heart fluctuates so much is because of the samskaras you've stored inside. You inwardly shoved away the experience you didn't like having and clung to the ones that you did. These unfinished energy patterns are real and they act as blockages to your inner energy flow. When your energy tries to flow up, and it always tries to flow up, it cannot because it hits these blockages. The energy of the Shakti flow is much subtler than that of the samskaras. So the Shakti can go no higher. So really, like, it's our grievances. It's our grievance even that we think we're these bodies. It's a grievance that we even believe that there's a world. When we get to a place where we realize that, yes, we're having a dream and it's a dream of separation, but anything that blocks the light is usually a grievance. Even if, like, you're in pain, physical, there's a grievance there. I'm in pain. The truth is that we can never have any of that. So we just look and judge not and just realize that we can come back to the center. Before we delve further into Shakti flow,
Steve
let's.
has his hand up.
Oh, who does?
Steve.
Okay, Steve, go ahead.
I like to think of this as nerve pathways, habits, that when I take the notice of something, I'm stirred up in some way. It creates a memory and a pattern, and I may travel it over and over again. So the neurological pathway, I always like the analogy of, let's say you walk to school, and when you first did it, it was like a grass field, like high grass. But then as you go back and forth day after day, it becomes a beaten pathway. And many of our neurological, spiritual people talk about the way to free yourself of these habits is to not try to get rid of them as much as go a different way. And the old pathway will in time grow back to grass. And so it's dealing with it in terms of neurological grooves, patterns. And that's what comes to mind. Thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you, Steve. Okay.
All right, Sharon, are you still reading?
Oh, I keep doing that because I'm on my phone and I'm on my bike, so I'm sorry, Lynn. Anyway, you may never have thought about it, but you know all too well what happens. When any particular blockage gets hit, the energy held in the blockage activates, and you start feeling the emotions and thinking the thoughts that are associated with the past experience. Look how quick that happens. It's just so funny how quickly, if we have a blockage, those triggers are really gifts, really. Your inner state becomes dominated by the unfinished energy patterns stored inside, and you become totally lost in them. In this state, you are not in charge of your thoughts or emotions, nor are you in charge of the opening or closing of your heart. The activated samskara has taken over your life. If you're not careful, it will determine your future by the choices you make in that unclear state. Here's an example of what the mind sounds like when a samskara has been hit. I can't believe he said that. My father used to say stuff like that to me, and I hated it. That's why I left home so young. No way. I'm going through that again. I don't need to be in relationship with someone who reminds me of my father. As logical as that may sound, it's not. This person you are interacting with is not your father. And if you didn't have those samskaras left from your relationship with your father, you would probably be handling your current relationship much better. In the truest sense, what was said didn't bother you. It hit the samskara, and the activated samskara bothered you. Regardless, to protect yourself from the disturbance, you closed your heart. Your samskaras are what causes your heart to open and close. Okay. Next paragraph. Dance of the energy flow. This is a really good book. He really gives you step by step on what's really going on. You know, of course we know what's going on, but it's just nice to reiterate it. There is a very important interaction between the energy flow and your blockages. The energy is trying to come up, but it can't because you stored these unfinished patterns from the past. It is these past impressions that determine your preferences in life. If someone manages to stimulate a negative past impression, you will not like them. If they manage to stimulate a positive past impression, it may be love at first sight. It is very dangerous to live this way. You are not in charge of your life. Your past impressions are. If you work on yourself, there will come a time when you fully understand your heart. Yeah, it's actually helping us. Like when we get hit with a trigger, that's to tell us we got a block there. And what do? You know, well, I think it takes a long time, at least for this mind, it took a while to realize that it's all me. And these blockages are nothing bad. They just need to be opened. And when you own it, when you don't blame your mother, father, or anyone because there's no one out there, it just then becomes, peace. That's why we're responsible for everything because there's nothing outside of us. So if you work on yourself, there will come a time when you fully understand your heart. When you have let go of enough blocked energy patterns, you'll begin to experience so much energy flowing inside you that you will understand firsthand what the Bible means. Um, wait a minute. Bible means by. Out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. John 7:38. There will be a constant upward flow of energy coursing through your entire system. When you get really open, it will flow out various energy centers like your heart. The point between your eyebrows and the palms of your hands, you will become a being of light, a being of energy. This is when the energy is free to flow, when it is not obstructed by these personal blockages. We're going to discuss this in later chapters, but mentioning it now allows you to understand why your heart opens and closes in certain situations. The reason should be obvious by now. The state of your heart is dependent upon what some scars are being activated at any given time.
See,
Whenever you shove an up,
Rafi
okay.
has his hand up.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't have my.
That's okay.
Rafi, go ahead.
Yeah, in regards to those things that we just gone over, these instances in the past that would come up and say, well, he reminds me of that, or this reminds me of this, or that reminds me of that. An effective way of dealing with it is just to say, that's just a story in my mind. It's just a picture in my head. I love you very much, and I'm letting you dissolve and evaporate. It's just a story in my mind. It's just a picture in my head. I love you very much, and I allow you to dissolve and evaporate. And that's a quick way that we don't have to keep playing those things over and over and over and over again. Then they're gone. And whatever your father said to you 45 years ago has no effect. And but don't take my word for it. Try it and see if it works for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafi. That's just taking responsibility and realizing basically that everything that comes up is coming up for us. So, all right, who wants to read now? Because I'm going to stop a little bit and then offer somebody else the mic.
Well, I'll read.
Okay.
All right. So, and yeah, I think that's when you hit that bump, and when we're talking about samskaras, I always think of scars. They're like scars that are there. Like when I fell down the hill, at the bus stop and, got a, big scrape my knee, got a big scar on my knee. They say that every 7 years or whatever, your whole body like all the cells in your body overturn. And so you don't have the same cells in your body, except probably your brain cells for your entire lifetime. They change all the time, but they always remember that scar. That as many times as my body has changed itself over the years, new cells grown, old cells dead, the scar still remains because that is the reminder of that incident, that it's the body's reminder. It's the same thing with the mind. We have these scars that build up because of incidents that happen, or series of incidents that happen, and they build up in your mind, and whenever something bumps up against it, you say, oh, there's that thing again, there's that scar again. And it's not going to just go away because the body cells are reinventing, it will be there again and again and again and again. And so, we have to recognize when it hits that scar, the scar that said, my dad got mad at me on my 8th birthday because of this or that. And now for the rest of my life, every time I, smell, birthday candles being lit, it brings up this scar that's in me that feels bad and sad because of this situation. You can let that go, as Rafi was saying. Um, but it's going to take more than one time. It's something that's been built up over the years, and that that's become, instead of being the uh, straight path in the road, it became the rut in the road, or the bump in the road, or the curve in the road, or whatever. And until we straighten that up, or fill that hole, or do whatever we do to make the road smooth again, go and get, surgery to have that scar removed, have it taken away so it's not there anymore, and you don't see it anymore, don't feel it anymore, don't experience it anymore. But as long as it's there, you're going to experience it. And so, the next time, you know, you smell a birthday candle being lit, you're gonna either laugh about it and say, I remember I used to get upset about that, or you're gonna find a reason to get upset. So these scars are just as real as the scar on my knee. These psychic scars are just as real as the the broken leg or whatever it is. It it has to be healed, or we have to learn that it means nothing and let it go. And what Rafi is suggesting is, we recognize it doesn't mean anything. There's not, my dad's not here to yell at me. Um, nothing is going to happen. This is just a story that I've told myself. So, for me to get my heart excited, my mind upset, and get ready to flee the room, when this happens, I can actually just look at it and say, you're not the boss of me. There's no reason for me to have this, continue to have this thought, this fearful thought. And, as, Rafi suggested, it's just a thought, and you can let it go. Uh, but, don't try to uh, bury it or run away from it, or make it go away, because that's going to make it even stronger, because you're giving it power. So, recognizing when these things are hit, and then deciding, does it mean anything to me? And you can use the whole Ho'oponopono, you can use the 6 steps, 12 steps, whatever the heck it is that you have. You can use that and let it go. So the whatever technique, release, whatever you do, you can do that. And if you became really consistent with doing that, then eventually, yeah, it's like, getting an effective scar cream, or, going for laser treatment or whatever. You can wear it down. You can make it go away, so that it's no longer triggering you or significant to you. You recognize what it really is. So when he says the reason should be obvious by now, the state of your heart is dependent upon what samskaras are being activated at any given time. We don't have to react to it. We just have to recognize it. So whenever you shove an obstacle into any energy flow, it will create a disturbance in the flow. Just like stones in the river. When the water hits the stone, it bounces off and goes around. It also will tend to take a part of the stone away. So eventually the stone is worn down and smooth because the river has worn off the things that stick up. So river rocks that are polished like that are beautiful and smooth and nice. And they create much less friction. And that's what we want to do is, create less friction. Um, so let's say you were very open and feeling a clean flow of love through your heart. Then your lover said something you took offense to and you resisted. Your heart will no longer feel love. Instead, it will feel anger, fear, or jealousy. These disturbing energy patterns are the direct result of you shoving a blockage into your heart's energy flow. All these emotions are the same energy, manifesting differently depending upon the nature of the blockage being hit. It is interesting that we choose to give names to these disturbances. Just look at all the names we give to our different emotions. And triggered is a good name. Triggered my fear, triggered my upset, that's a good one. So far, we've discussed the energy flow hitting just one blockage at a time. The more blockages there are, the more complicated the disturbances will become. Eventually, the disturbances will start to hit each other and create very complex patterns of energy. This is what it's like to live inside ourselves. This is why emotions are so powerful and often complex. You can have a love-hate relationship with something because you have patterns inside that can generate different energy flows at different times. Whatever samskara is most activated at any given time will determine what is affecting your energy flow the most. We are very complex creatures to predict, and this is why. Unfortunately, things can get even worse. At some point, even enough samskaras can be shoved into the heart so that you become totally blocked, tired, and completely uninspired. Your naturally uplifting energy flow stops supporting you. This is the power of these samskaras. They totally run our lives. Remember that your energy is always trying to flow. The only reason it can't is because it's blocked. Like in a dammed up river, the flow tries to find a way around the blockages. To the extent that some energy can navigate around a blockage, you will feel some strength. But that energy flow is conditioned by its ability to continue flowing that way. If something happens that stimulates yet another stored blockage, the energy flow will be affected accordingly. This is why people have so many moods and why they cannot be trusted to remain steady in their behavior. By the time the energy flow manages to find a narrow pathway around all that stuff we have stored inside, we become very narrow-minded about how the world needs to be to support that flow. Our entire personality, with its very particular likes and dislikes, is simply the expression of the pathway the energy managed to find. Our ability to feel love and inspiration is determined by how much energy makes it through the blockages. And so I need someone else to read for a while as my voice is going away. If anybody would.
I can read.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Now you understand why your heart is so sensitive. Depending upon how well the energy can navigate around the stored blockages, your heart will open or close. Pay attention to this. Otherwise, you're going to let the opening and closing of your heart run your life. Gotta take charge. If you're talking to someone and they start discussing a subject that you have blockages about, your heart may start to close. If your reaction is to walk away and avoid that person, in the future, the blockages are running your life. Hello. Similarly, if someone starts talking to you about a subject that opens you up, all of a sudden they're your best buddy and you want to hang out with them more. Letting this opening and closing of your heart run your life is certainly not spiritual. You're not being true to yourself, you're being true to your blockages. That's all your psyche is. Your psyche is the net result of all your blockages and how the energy manages to flow through them. As the fluctuations in the energy flow cause your heart to change, your thoughts will change. It's actually very sad because you will end up lost in there. Those stored blockages will dominate your life, and that is no way to live. You won't go anywhere meaningful. You'll just go around in circles. There's no actual purpose, intent, or direction to such a life except to minimize the suffering and get a periodic rush. These samskaras are from the past, and there's no such thing as the past. They are things that happened to you in your past that you were not able to handle. Now they're determining your present, and they will determine your future if you are not careful. We could not be discussing anything more important. These stored patterns are going to determine where you go, what inspires you, who you marry, and whether you get divorced. You're not determining your path through life, they are. Until you get very centered in witness consciousness, you're going to follow your thoughts and emotions, and they are determined by your samskaras. Surely you've been there. All that has to happen is for the energy pattern flowing through the heart to shift, and everything changes. Next thing you know, you're leaving your spouse or your job. These stored patterns represent the lowest part of your being. These stored patterns represent the lowest part of your being. They are the result of you not being mature enough or evolved enough to handle the passing events in your life. These patterns become stuck in you and are now determining your energy flow and your entire perception of life. Amazing. Understanding the effects of these blockages help explain why it's so difficult to make personal decisions. What you're trying to see is how one choice or the other will make you feel. Should I marry this person or should I wait until I establish my career? You're using these thoughts to see how the different choices will shift the flow of your energy through your blockages. The problem is you have so many conflicting blockages stored in there that what to do is not clear. Of course, it's not clear. You're consulting your inner mess and expecting a clear response, all while you are noticing that these thoughts and emotions keep shifting inside. The important question is not what to do about this. It is who is noticing all this. There you go. The same consciousness is aware of this entire process going on inside. There may be some samskaras in there, but there are not many of them. But there are not many of you in there. There is only one consciousness watching all these competing patterns and identifying with them. Don't identify with them, and it becomes so much simpler. When you become one integrated seer, the single witness watching all these clear, you are free. But when you don't sit in the seat of the witness, there you are. And your sense of being is split amongst all of these diverse inner patterns, things become very confusing. It's almost as though each path the energy takes through your field of samskaras creates a slightly different personality. You're one person around this friend and you're another person around someone else. You can even have totally different inner dialogues going on when you are around different people. Look at what happens when you go on your childhood home. When you go to your childhood home or high school reunion, the surroundings stimulate past samskaras, and you begin to think and feel the way you used to in that environment. Amazingly, in these situations, you feel completely at home with these different versions of yourself. Oh, sneaky Pete. People in this state struggle to find themselves. They feel they must choose which of these personalities is really them. None of them. The answer is quite clear. None of them are you. Please don't pick one of them and let that choice determine your life. None of your thoughts are more you than any other thought. You are the one who is experiencing the thoughts. There is not a single thing about those shifting energy patterns that is you. Hello. It is certainly difficult knowing what to do when when all that inner commotion going on. The only lasting solution is to realize that it is the same you noticing all of it. Yes. You are the one who's aware that your thoughts and emotions are shifting. It happens to us all the time. Just relax and be the one who notices. Be the one who sees the many. This is the path to self realization. Applause, applause, applause.
Absolutely. And man, do I see that. And you know, it is like there's a whole in me, a whole committee making up, determining what should be done, when should it be done. Um, and I used to, you read about people that have quote unquote multiple personality disorders. Well, that's all of us. There's not a single person that doesn't have multiple personalities going on inside of them. There's the mother, there's the father, there's the infant, the child, the student, the teacher. We're all playing all these different roles at the same time. And depending on who we're with, when I used to work, I'd never talk to the people that I worked with the way I talk with you guys. And at the same time, I would never talk to you guys the way I talk to them. Um, I was a different person. I was, the authority and the engineer and the person who could, got to tell people what to do and how to do it. Now I don't know anything, and I'm just gonna sit here and listen to you, and you tell me what you think. Those are two completely different roles. Um, and sometimes I'll find myself going into the role of this is what you should think or see or say or do. But for the most part, the person that I am most of the time is more and more consistent to the purpose that I find myself in. And I think that's the big clue to it right there is, figuring out what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing here? And once you recognize what your purpose is, then, all things that uh, come from that one center rather than I when I, obviously with other people or when I worked or whatever, I maybe had a completely different purpose than what I have right now in my mind. Of course, we all know it's the same purpose, just you just aren't aware of it or don't recognize it. But yeah, uh, recognizing that just because a voice inside of me says this is not good or that should be done or whatever, that doesn't mean that it's true. It just means that that's one of the voices in my mind that thinks it is in charge, just like all the rest of them do. So anyway, anybody have any thoughts about that? Yeah, I think that's pretty much up Rafi's tree for sure. Go ahead, Rafi.
Yeah, one of the things that I got to keep reminding myself of is that everyone, whether they realize it or not, is on a path to freedom. Most people don't understand that because they relate to their minds, they identify with their ego mind, and they think that, they got to find it in this world, and you can't find it in this world because this world really can't satisfy you. You can't get you can't get satisfaction out of a dream, out of a mirage. But still, it doesn't matter. If I see that everyone is looking without some are realizing that they are looking for their self-fulfillment, their self-realization, and other people don't realize that that's what they're looking for, but they're searching for something. That everyone is doing that, and as long as we're doing that, then we're all on the same plane, and that equality says a lot. We're not getting caught up in repeating these same emotional patterns over and over again. That's all. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Rafi. And yeah, that's, I like, how Marshall Rosenberg, talks about it, that, we all have the same needs, and we're all trying to get those needs met in whatever way that we feel appropriate or think we can get them met. But it's all the same. So, the best way to get everyone's needs taken care of is to look at, what is it that out of this circumstance or situation, what is it that I need? And it's the same thing. So, however you look at it, the sameness is the thing that that is brings about the equality. And that's why Jesus says, make this year different by making it all the same. All of it the same. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. There are no levels or hierarchy in illusions. They're all the same. It's all the same. And recognizing that sameness, uh, that's how we actually see that nothing I see here means anything. It's all the same garbage. All right, chapter 24, the cause of moods and emotions. We have about 10 more minutes if anybody would like to read. All right, I will read for a while. Chapter 24, the cause of moods and emotions. Emotions are generated when your core energy flow hits a blockage. To understand this, imagine walking up to a stream that's flowing with no impediments. There are no rocks or other obstacles in the stream bed. Under these conditions, the water in the stream is going to flow in a very even, undisturbed manner. There will be no eddies, sprays, or intersecting currents. This clear stream is analogous to your core energy flow, the Shakti. Both of these flows are perfectly pure and constantly flowing when in their natural state. What if we put a rock into the pure flow of the stream? All of a sudden, there are noticeable disturbances. There are eddies, split currents, and a spray where the flow hits the rock. Just as that one rock caused a disturbance in the force, the same thing happens if we put blockages in the flow of Shakti. These blockages, these samskaras, create obstacles to the Shakti flow, and as such create disturbances in the flow. Excuse me. These inner ripples, sprays, and eddies, combined with the release of the disturbed energy stored within the samskara, are what we call emotions. An emotion is caused by the Shakti hitting the blockages in your heart and shooting out to release the blocked energies. This creates enough disturbance to your normal flow that your attention gets drawn to those disturbed energies. Emotions are a release of blocked energy. This goes for both negative and positive emotions. So I'm going to stop a minute and think about how this gets, because, we talk about our feelings. How does this make you feel? Well, that feeling, when the feeling comes up, that is this hint that there's an energy that's being blocked. And so when we can look at that feeling and see where it comes from. And I think the work that, Sandy Levy does and that Dietrich Walsack does, where, we look at those feelings and look at where they're coming from, and, and actually look at it and can like, I don't like the way, when I smell they're lighting birthday candles, it gives me this feeling because of this story of this thing that happened. And when I can look at this thing that happened and ask the question, what does that have to do with me? I was an innocent person. I'm an innocent person. And this story that I've told myself all these years about my guilt, it's not true. And so I can look at that feeling, see where that blockage came from, recognize that it's not true, that it really has nothing to do with me, and I can let it go. But unless I can look at where that feeling came from and recognize the the truth about myself, which is the other thing that's always a part of that process, is reaffirming the truth about myself, that I am, the innocent son of God, and none of this could possibly ever have been true about me. When I can do that, then I don't have that, the feeling goes away, not because I've dismissed it, but because I've healed the source of it. And that healing the source of it is what makes it possible for me to be free from that. Rafi, yes, please go ahead.
Well, I was going to volunteer to read some more, so you don't have to wear out your throat.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
But what you're saying is so accurate, because most of our fears and thoughts, in fact, come from a fear of lack, and that fear of lack comes from the fear that we are separate from our source, which, of course, is an illusion. But mentally, we don't know that. And as soon as we see that, we can step back from it and then just observe all of these fears of lacks and other thoughts and stuff, and allow them to go. And that clears out the blockage, and then everything gets to flow again. So, where do I pick up from? Remember?
Remember, yeah, remember.
Remember that some scatters get stored in there for a reason. You couldn't handle the experience that happened. These blockages may have been in there for years, even decades. And when something hits them, they become activated and start to release their pent up energy. By definition, the resultant emotions and thoughts will be very personal to you. After all, you're the one who held the blockage inside to begin with. You walk into a kitchen, smell a smell, and your entire state changes because it smells like what your mother used to cook. Just a smell. And suddenly a powerful change will come over you. Your heart will get softer or harder, depending on how you interacted with your mother. I have the best one in the world. Most of the time, you have no idea what is happening. You just buy into the shift of your emotions and behave accordingly. You can now understand where your moods come from. When you reach a state of clarity, there are no moods. There's just the beauty of the clean energy flow feeding your day and night. In later chapters, we're going to discuss what it's like to get clean, to get clear, to live in a state where you are always high. Yes. Until you reach that state, it's just one mood after another as the energy shifts due to these stored patterns. From a yogic point of view, that's what happens on a daily basis in our lives. The energy flow comes up, and as it approaches the heart, it can do one of three things. First, the energy is totally blocked by the samskaras while trying to go into the heart. You won't feel your heart. A lot of people don't feel their heart very much. They are so used to focusing on their mind that they don't notice the shifts in their heart until the shifts are too strong to ignore. Emotions are messy and much too sensitive, so people suppress them. Big mistake. They want to be analytical, not emotional. So one told, welcome all feelings. No one told these people that if they bothered to do the work necessary to clean out the heart, the increased energy flow coming into the mind will result in more inspiration, more creativity, and more intuitive brilliance. A second thing can happen with energy coming into the heart. It can make it in. It can make it in and begin hitting the blockage stored there. These tend to make you moody and more sensitive to what is going on around you. Every once in a while, however, things will line up just right, and your heart will get quiet. Somebody is in front of you, and somehow the way they look, the way they talk, or something else about them stimulates and rearranges your samskaras just right. Her hair looks just like my sister's hair, and I really got along well with my sister. I certainly did. She was great. Look at those glasses. They're just like the ones my favorite actress wore in my favorite movie of all time. This is definitely my kind of person. The next thing you know, you're saying out loud, people told me nice things about you, and I was really excited to meet you. Now that I see you, it's way beyond anything I expected. So it begins. Love at first sight. These words are right. The hair is right. The glasses are right. Everything is opening. You don't have to do anything. It's all happening by itself. This stimuli coming in through your senses are rearranging the samskaras just right to create an opening for the energy to come up. Or as the energy comes up into the heart, it has the opportunity to flow out and connect with what caused it to open. Now we're talking about a very personal and sensitive subject. How you ever felt the energy? Have you ever felt the energy flow out of your heart? Have you ever felt your heart connect with another person? Oh yeah. It it's as if there were an energy flow tying two hearts together. Oh, you got that right. People who are in love can just sit together, not even talking, while that beautiful connected flow is happening. It's almost as if nothing in this world is as beautiful as that sensation of energy pouring out through the heart and connecting with someone. From a yogic point of view, what you are experiencing is Shakti pouring out of the fourth energy center, the heart chakra of your energy system. Through this heart center, though this heart center is really beautiful, it is actually not so high, since there are even 7 such chakras that control your inner energy flow. The yogi understands that if all the energy goes out through the heart center, it will not have the power to reach the higher centers. What you will come to realize is that the chakras are like a teapipe fitting. There it is.
Oh, that's cool. He's got a little drawing in there.
Yeah. At the bottom is an entry point for the energy, and it could be open or blocked. If it is blocked, no energy will enter that center. If it is open, the energy will come up into the center and attempt to flow right through. Should the upper pathway be blocked, however, the energy will flow out horizontally and connect with whatever stimulated the opening experience. Now, as human beings, we really like that experience of energy flowing out through the heart. In fact, we call it love. That experience is human love. And don't worry, spirituality has no intention of taking this away from you. It's beautiful. Just know that there is a higher expression of love.
All
Absolutely.
right.
That is
So I think we can stop reading. You go ahead and share what you were going to share, Rafi. And
so that higher love is our infinite being, is the reality of our truth self. That's our God consciousness.
absolutely. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for reading, Rafi. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. Um, it's been great so far, and continuing on to the next subject, we're going to have